Hello humans, Master Dinnerflex here, bringing you the low quality content you deserve, and today we've got Lunalights, the new support. Now, I will be showing off every new card when it comes up to it, but I want to get two things out of the way. For one, prior to this support, Lunalights had a pretty obvious error no matter how you decided to play it, and that is the deck was entirely dependent on a two-card combo, which was a way to Kaleido Chick and a way to Tiger, and that would play the entire deck. And there was just a limited number of starters. Like, it was very easy to just not draw the only hand in your deck that plays the game. So, because of that, with this new support just adding more starters, that solves a lot of problems already. Like, that is something to recognize. It's just the sheer quantity and just numerical increase of starters is good, but we actually have some one-card starters for this deck now. So for this first combo, all we need is Gold Leo or a way to it, and this will be the one-card starter. So we will start off with Gold Leo. When it's normal or special summoned, you can add one Lunalight monster from your deck to your hand, and then discard one card. So we are going to go ahead and do that. We are going to add Yellow Marten, and then we are going to discard Yellow Marten. Now, Yellow Marten has an effect when it's sent to the graveyard by a card effect. Now, while Kaleido Chick is just the world's greatest Foolish Burial, because a lot of these cards need to be sent by card effect, it just so happens to not synergize with it, but that's something to keep in mind. When this is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, so it'll trigger, but Gold Leo also has another effect. When a Lunalight monster is sent to the graveyard, while this monster's on the field, even during the damage step, you can target one of them, add it to your hand. So Chain Link 1, we will get a search, and Chain Link 2, we will recycle this back. And we can add so many things here. But to keep it simple, we will add Lunalight Fusion. So the new support, it was obviously always going to try to incentivize players to put some fusions in their deck list, because Lunalight, to be frank, is a better XC deck than any fusions. Even the playstyle that the fusion deck offers is outclassed by generic XZs. So, that's something important to keep in mind. But regardless, playing Lunalight Fusion is a searchable poly for what we're going to do here, and that's fuse the Gold Leo and the Yellow Marten, and that will allow us to make one of the new fusions, which is Perfume Dancer, which finally searches Lunalight Perfume. That's right, pure Perfume is now searchable. Next, we are going to go ahead and activate Perfume. We will go ahead and revive the Gold Leo, and we will banish this from our graveyard, discard one card, which will be the WoW Warrior, and that will get us Tiger. So we will go ahead and activate the Tiger, which will special summon the Marten. We'll put a counter to signify its useless effect. Then we will overlay these two level 4 Beast Warriors into Tiger King, which will go ahead and set and activate a Tinky, which we will use to go and search Kaleido Chick. Next, Perfume Dancer has one final effect, and that is it's the third Zephyros of your... It's the third Zephyros of this deck list. It also has a pretty insane graveyard effect, but we won't go into that now. But yeah, we can now bounce this, and this allows us to special summon a Lunalight from hand. So we will revive Kaleido Chick, which we will then activate to dump another Lunalight, which we will go ahead and dump another Yellow Marten. Next, we'll go ahead and activate Tiger to revive Yellow Marten. Next, we will overlay these two into some Raid Raptor stuff. Now, I will say this. You're about to see me go wombooey combooey, all the hoops and things, but this is another thing I wanted to mention. This is not how you play, like, real games of Yu-Gi-Oh! It's not about showing how big your phallic combo inboard is. It's about playing through interactions and doing a back and forth. Even the most nothing burger combo decks that just want to do whatever and ignore the opponent, they still have to respect the opponent is there. So in this combo, even though it's like solitaire, look how awesome this inboard is, while you're watching it, you should have some self-awareness about what's going on. I'm not being interrupted because my opponent doesn't exist. Instead, they are a sticky note right here. So as you're watching this combo, anytime you're like, oh, that's a choke point, when you're building this deck list, build around that. Play around that. Like, I can show you what these cards do and how they interact, but after a certain point, you kind of have to do some of it on your own, and I'm not going to pretend my opponent my opponent's hand traps for you, because that's something as a player you need to be able to do on your own. But we are going to search Laughing Puffin, which is hilariously one of the best like Raid Raptor extenders in Lunalight, because you just set so many face-up spells, whether it be pendulums or whatnot. But we can special summon it because we have face-up spells, and we will link these two off into Wise Tricks, and that will allow us to go into Zephyros, which we can now bounce with the actual Yellow Martin, and then we'll go ahead and make another Raid Raptor to go ahead and get another search. Detach, and then I guess we will get Raider's Wing, and that will set us a rank up spell, and then we can activate Tiger to get another name, to also summon this, and then we still have the Zephyros, because again, we have like 3 Zephyros to work with. But next, I think we're going to link those two off into a Link 3 Fiend, and link those two into Abow, which seems like a pretty solid start for what we're about to do. But I believe we still have this activation. I forgot to keep count. So we'll just say we don't, and then we'll bounce with Zephyros. And then I know I haven't used Kaleido Check, so we will go ahead and dump. In this instance, we will go Emerald Bird real quick, because there's one final thing I want to dump. And then we'll activate this. We will take our 400 damage from Zephyros, and then we will overlay these two into Redoer, which we will detach Emerald Bird by effect, banish this. Emerald Bird will go ahead and revive, and this will go ahead and dump Silver Wolf. Now, this has a much more relevant effect. Its first effect is far more relevant, but right now, you want to just dump it when you see Perfume Dancer, because it can banish it and a Lunalight Fusion from your graveyard to be a Spell and Trap Negate. So yeah, you have a Spell and Trap Negate in your graveyard, which is very nice. Next, we will overlay these two level 4s into Tornado Dragon, which we will go ahead, detach, pop this, and then Tiger will trigger in a new way for its final time to go ahead and summon another monster back, which we will go ahead and revive this, which we will turn into Nightmare, which now has targeting protection because of Raider's Wing. Next, we can discard another card, which we will probably do here to revive this. We can go ahead and dump another Lunalight, which in this instance you can set up for a bigger fusion play. And then link those two off into IP. And then Soul Shade Force, pay half your life points. Oh, excuse me. And then we will go ahead and revive Force Tricks for Infinity. Like, again, this is not about how Wombo-y awesome and cool and wonderful and awesome and cool this end board is. It's much more the fact that, like, this was a one-card starter, and there's so many level 4s you're generating. You don't need to think about this as, like, this is what the deck should be doing. This is what the deck can do, and you need to be thinking about, okay, so how can I expand on here? But this is, like, one of the better inboards in what this deck was prior, and it was just set up by what was functionally a one-card combo with, like, discards, which is fine because this deck has discard outlets. So, Perfume Dancer, very strong. Even if you decide you don't want to play a single other fusion, you should probably play this fusion. But now that we got this one out of the way, we're going to show off another combo actually involving the fusions. Now for this combo, we need a 2-card hand, no matter what. Because what we need is a way to Tiger and just the 1-card starter play. So Masquerade is another card I think is really insane, because it's not just that it's like a really powerful starter, it can be an extender, because what it does is during the main phase, during the turn is activated, you can send a Lunalight monster from your deck to your graveyard, by effect. Now this is like really important, because it's not just like you send Silver Wolf, which is its first effect. If this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can special summon a Lunalight monster from your deck, but while you control that face-up special summon monster by that effect, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except Lunalights. Now that sounds like a really vicious choke point, but there are so many ways to just make that restriction just not matter. So that is fine. But ultimately, not only can it send that, so this summons from deck, but it can also send Emerald Bird, which can revive from the graveyard or banished any Lunalight, or it can send Yellow Martin to search any Lunalight spells and traps, including Lunalight Fusion, which is half a Shaddoll Fusion going second. So, like, it has a massive variety of effects, so it doesn't just have to be a starter, it can be an extender, and it can bail you out of multiple choke points, especially if you dump this with, like, another effect, and they try to hit what is ultimately, we're going to go ahead and resolve here. Send this, summon Leo from deck. If they hit this, you can follow up with Masquerade, send this, get your search, and then just bounce it, and then, like, you can follow up into normal summoning it into Tiger King to go ahead and Tinky for Tiger. Like, like, this card is a really powerful extender, especially into a lot of hand traps. But we will go ahead and use Golden Leo. We will search a Yellow Martin, which we will dump, and we will do the same line of play we did in the last combo, where we search Fusion, and we go ahead and add this back to hand as well. Which is really cool about this support, is Yellow Martin was ultimately just a glorified, like, trick clown on how this deck operated originally. It's very rare that you search, like, the trap with its effect. You had to kind of go out of your way to do it. But now, like, you are utilizing every aspect of this card. So next, we'll activate Lunalight Fusion. We will go ahead and fuse into Perfume Dancer. And that will allow us to get the Perfume. We'll go ahead and activate it to summon one of them. And then we will banish Toss a Wow Warrior. And that will allow us to get, this time, Wolf. Which is very nice. So we will go ahead and activate Tiger again. Resolve, activate. And then we're going to do a very similar line of play. So I'm actually just going to skip a lot of the fluff, and I can kind of show you just setting up to making the fusion, and just assume, oh, I'm also doing all the insane, nonsensical combo stuff. So we will go ahead, search Kaleido Chick, bounce with Perfume to go ahead and special summon the Kaleido Chick from hand. And its first stump will actually be, it will still be Yellow Martin, because we still need to generate multiple bodies. So we'll go ahead and activate this again, revive this, and, like, assume we are setting this up. So when we have this, it's got its counter. When we Zephyros, etc., etc., we are ultimately going to revive this as many times as we can with Tiger, and we're just going to keep dumping. And after a certain point in this combo, you're going to start dumping just names for quantity, and it's usually like Gold Leo, things like that. And then once you're done, your graveyard is filled to the brim, because your final dumps, if you can help it, is Leo Dancer. And that's where Wolf will begin to come in. Because another example is, like, in this setup of this combo, let's just create some level 4s just for namesake. You will then make Tornado Dragon, because this card, let's go ahead and summon it, because this card is the first ever attempt at trying to solve one of the biggest problems Lunalight had with their fusions, is that it was such a high commitment to make them, but there was no reason to make them, because they're really powerful going second tools. If you're going first, that's just not relevant. Even the protection effects they had, that just wasn't relevant. But more importantly, even going second, they were a lot higher to commit to than just making some aggro XEs, especially once we got Arc Rebellion and Raider's Knight, because those two alone nullified this deck, the fusion version's entire playstyle. This card, on the other hand, is very different. It's unaffected by anything not a Lunalight card, which is already way more immune than the others. And it can make 2 attacks, which is nice on a giant monster. But finally, quick effect, you can send 1 Lunalight monster from your extra deck to the graveyard to destroy all special summon monsters your opponent controls. This is why Tornado Dragon is important when you set up this combo, because we can go ahead, detach, pop this, and create our extra body for whatever. And then when we go to fuse, we will just go ahead, banish as many names as possible, but trying to keep both Wolf and Perfume Dancer engraved so you still have the spell and trap negate. And then ultimately, your inboard will just be a bunch of combo pieces, and then just a quick effect Regeki that is also towers. Yeah, that's kind of what we're dealing with. It's really strong. Like, that's one of the good things about this new support, is they really gave Fusion something that actually mattered, which is kind of weird, because like Panther and Leo Dance are actually really strong aggro cards, but they weren't stronger than other easier to make aggro cards. But this is like something that there isn't an XC that can replace this kind of effect, because they don't make rank 4s that are giant towers that are also quick effect Regekis, it turns out. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and hopefully you kind of picked up on what I was laying down with this deck. Like, this is a lot of really cool, really powerful tools, and because it was given a sheer large number of them, it can help them play through a lot more interaction than they used to. And a bonus is that, like, we combos to this engrave, the interactions are a lot more layered now, because, like, the spell and trap negate is in your graveyard, so even if they Dark Ruler your board, this is still in line and this is still in line, so you have a way to deal with monsters and then, like, follow up spells and traps. Like, this is, like, a lot more of a layered inboard, and it's not And, like, one of the problems you had earlier is, like, one of the only ways, you had to go out of your way to search a counter trap in a deck, and that used to be, like, throwing Orcust in your deck, or, like, the Fire Fist counter trap. Now you kind of just don't have to worry about that, which is really nice. But that's going to be it for me. Thank you all for watching, and remember, Master Dinnerflax will take your soul. I said